Hello, and welcome to English Story Trail. Today, we will hear the famous story of St. George and the Dragon. This is one of the most famous legends in Europe. People have told this story for hundreds of years. It is a story about courage, hope, and standing up against evil. Remember, this is a legend. Some people believe parts of the story really happened. Others believe it is only an old story. Whatever you believe, it has inspired millions of people around the world. As you listen, don't worry if you do not understand every word. Just relax, enjoy the story, and let your English improve naturally. Now, let's begin. A city living in fear. A long time ago, there was a city called Selene. Selene was a beautiful city. It stood beside green fields and clear rivers. Farmers worked in the countryside. Traders sold food, clothes, and spices in the busy market. Children played in the streets, and people smiled as they walked through the town. Life was peaceful. But outside the city, there was a large, dark lake. Near the lake lived a terrible dragon. The dragon was bigger than any horse. Its body was covered with hard green scales. Its wings were as wide as the sails of a great ship. Its claws were sharp enough to cut through wood and stone. Its eyes burned like fire. When it breathed, smoke filled the sky. When it became angry, flames came from its mouth. The people of Selene were terrified. No one dared to go near the lake. The dragon's hunger. At first, the dragon hunted wild animals. Then there were no animals left. So it came closer to the farms. It killed sheep. It killed cows. It frightened horses. Many farmers lost everything they owned. Soon, the dragon came so close to the city that people were afraid to leave their homes. The king called all his advisors together. "We must stop this monster," he said. Many soldiers tried to fight the dragon. None of them returned. The dragon was too strong. Finally, the people made a terrible agreement. Every morning, they would leave 2 sheep beside the lake. The dragon would eat the sheep and leave the city alone. For many months, this plan worked. The people were still afraid, but they were alive. Then one day, there were no sheep left. The fields were empty. The farms were ruined. The people gathered in the town square. "What shall we do now?" they asked. No one knew the answer. A cruel lottery. The king was very sad. But he knew the dragon would return. After many long discussions, the people made another terrible decision. Every day, one person would be chosen by lottery. That person would be taken to the lake. The dragon would eat them instead of attacking the city. It was a cruel plan. But everyone believed there was no other way. Every morning, families gathered together. The names were written on small pieces of paper. One name was chosen. Every day, someone cried. Every day, another family lost a son or daughter. The whole city lived in fear. No one laughed anymore. The streets became quiet. Children stayed inside their homes. Even the birds seemed to sing less. The dragon had stolen not only lives. It had stolen hope. The king's daughter. Many weeks passed. Then came the day that everyone feared. The king stood before the people with the wooden box that held the names. He closed his eyes. Slowly, he reached inside. The city became silent. He opened the paper. His face turned white. His hands began to shake. It was the name of his own daughter. The princess. The king could not speak. He loved his daughter more than anything in the world. She was kind. She was gentle. She often visited poor families. She gave food to hungry children. She spoke kindly to everyone she met. The king begged the people. "I will give you gold," he said. "I will give you silver. I will give you jewels. I will even give away half my kingdom. Please, spare my daughter." The people looked at one another. Then an old man stepped forward. "Your Majesty," he said quietly. "We are sorry, but every family has lost someone. If the law is fair, it must be fair for everyone." The king knew the old man was right. With tears in his eyes, he hugged his daughter. "I am so sorry," he whispered. The princess held her father's hands. "It is not your fault," she said softly. "If my death saves the city, then I will go." Everyone watching began to cry. A lonely walk. The next morning, the princess dressed in a simple white gown. She wore no crown. She carried no jewels. She wanted to meet her fate with courage. Slowly, she walked through the city. People stood quietly beside the road. Some lowered their heads. Others whispered prayers. Small children held their mothers' hands. No one smiled. Outside the city gate, the princess looked back one last time. She wondered if she would ever see her home again. Then she continued towards the lake. She sat on a large rock and waited. The only sound was the wind moving through the trees. A stranger on the road. Far away, another traveler was riding towards Celine. His name was George. George was a Roman soldier. He had traveled across many countries. He had fought in battles. He had helped weak people wherever he went. But George was different from many soldiers. He did not fight for gold. He did not fight for fame. He believed that strong people should protect those who could not protect themselves. George was also a Christian. His faith gave him courage. Even when he was afraid, he believed that good would always be stronger than evil. As he rode along the road, he noticed something strange. The farms were empty. The fields were silent. No children were playing. No farmers were working. "It feels like a city without hope," George said to himself. Soon he met an old shepherd. "Good morning," George said kindly. "Can you tell me why everyone looks so afraid?" The old man sighed. "You should not stay here. A terrible dragon lives near the lake." George looked surprised. "A dragon? Yes," the old man replied. "It has ruled our lives for many months." George listened carefully as the old man explained everything. He spoke about the sheep. He spoke about the lottery. Finally, he spoke about the princess. "Today is her day," he said sadly. George looked towards the distant lake. "Then I must go." The old man grabbed his arm. "No. Many brave men have tried. They are all dead." George smiled gently. If everyone is too afraid to help, then who will save the princess? Without another word, George rode towards the lake. The dragon comes. When George reached the lake, he saw the princess sitting alone. She looked frightened, but she did not run away. George climbed down from his horse. "Are you the king's daughter?" he asked. She nodded. "You must leave," she said. "The dragon will come soon." George smiled. "I cannot leave you here. You do not understand," the princess replied. "The dragon has killed every soldier who fought it." George looked calmly across the water. "Perhaps today will be different." Just then, the ground began to shake. The water in the lake started to move. Birds flew into the sky. A deep roar echoed across the valley. Smoke rose from the lake. Then two great wings appeared above the water. The dragon was coming. George climbed onto his horse. He lowered his long spear. He whispered a quiet prayer. Then he rode forward to meet the monster. The great battle. The dragon climbed out of the lake. It was even bigger than George had imagined. Its long tail hit the ground with a loud crash. Its sharp claws cut deep marks into the earth. Smoke poured from its mouth. The princess stepped back in fear. George held his spear tightly. He looked at the dragon without moving. The dragon let out a terrible roar. Then it rushed towards him. George kicked his horse forward. Horse and rider charged across the field. The dragon opened its huge mouth. Flames shot into the air. George lifted his shield. The fire missed him by only a few inches. The heat was so strong that he could feel it through his armor. The dragon turned quickly and attacked again. George knew he had only one chance. He lowered his spear. He aimed carefully. As the dragon charged, George rode straight towards it. At the very last second, he drove his spear deep into the dragon's shoulder. The dragon screamed. The sound echoed across the hills. The spear broke into two pieces. The dragon fell to the ground. It was badly wounded, but it was still alive. A strange command. George climbed down from his horse. He walked to the princess. She looked at him with wide eyes. "The dragon is not dead," she whispered. "I know," George replied. "Now do exactly as I tell you." The princess nodded. "Take off your belt," George said. She looked surprised, but she trusted him. She removed her long belt. "Tie it around the dragon's neck." Slowly, she walked towards the great beast. The dragon growled quietly, but it did not attack. With shaking hands, she tied the belt around its neck. Then something amazing happened. The dragon stood up. It lowered its head. It followed the princess as gently as a dog follows its owner. The princess smiled in surprise. George smiled too. "Come," he said. "Let us return to the city." Fear in Selene. As they walked towards Selene, people looked from their windows. Then someone shouted, "The dragon!" Panic spread through the streets. People screamed. Mothers picked up their children. Shopkeepers ran inside. The city gates began to close. George raised his hand. "Do not be afraid," he called. His strong voice echoed across the square. The people stopped running. Slowly they looked at the knight standing beside the dragon. The king hurried out of the palace. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. The dragon stood quietly beside the princess. It no longer looked fierce. George stepped forward. George speaks to the people. "My friends," George said, "this dragon has brought fear to your city for a long time. It has taken your animals. It has taken your children. It has taken your hope. But today your fear can end." The people listened carefully. George continued, "I am a Christian. I believe that God gave me the strength to fight this dragon. If you believe in Christ and choose to be baptized, I will kill the dragon and your city will be free." The king looked at his people. Then he spoke. "If this is the true God who has saved us today, then I will believe." Many people agreed. One after another, families came forward. The king, the queen, the princess, soldiers, farmers, merchants. Thousands of people chose to become Christians. In the old legend, it says that more than 15,000 people were baptized. The dragon is defeated. When everything was ready, George turned towards the dragon. The people watched in silence. George drew his sword. The dragon looked at him one last time. Then George lifted his sword high into the air. With one powerful blow, he killed the dragon. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then cheers filled the city. Children laughed. People hugged one another. Some cried with happiness. For the first time in many months, Celine was free. The king's gift. The king walked to George. He knelt before him. "You have saved my daughter. You have saved my people. I can never thank you enough." The king offered George chests of gold. He offered silver. He offered precious jewels. He offered horses and land. George smiled kindly. "I do not want riches." The king looked surprised. "What do you ask for instead?" George answered, "Use your money to help poor people. Care for widows. Feed hungry children. Be fair when you judge others. And always remember that a good king serves his people." The king promised that he would. A church is built. Soon the people carried the dragon's body far away from the city. No one feared the lake anymore. The fields became green again. Farmers returned to their work. Children played beside the river. Laughter returned to the streets. To remember that special day, the king built a beautiful church. He named it after Saint George. People came from many countries to visit it. They remembered the brave knight who had saved a whole city. Why do we remember Saint George? Many years passed. The story of Saint George traveled across Europe. Kings admired his courage. Soldiers admired his bravery. Ordinary people admired his kindness. In England, Saint George became especially loved. People believed he showed the importance of courage, honor and helping others. Many years later, he became the patron saint of England. Even today, people celebrate St. George's Day every year on the 23rd of April. His flag is simple. It is a red cross on a white background. You can still see it flying across England today. Whether the story is history or legend, its message has never changed. Real courage is not about being stronger than everyone else. Real courage means helping others, even when you are afraid. The end. And that is the legend of St. George and the Dragon. It is a story that has been told for hundreds of years. It reminds us that hope is stronger than fear. Kindness is stronger than hate. And one brave person really can change the lives of many others. Thank you for listening to English Story Trail. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us next time for another classic story to help you improve your English. Until then, keep learning, keep reading, and keep following the trail of great stories. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.